CCTV Camera World is proud to provide support for products purchased from our website. If you purchased your product from another vendor, please contact the vendor you purchased from for further assistance.
Here I'll be showing you how to install the AvaEye Config software. This is the URL where you can find the software. Please type it into your web browser and then copy it here. It's a link to a Google Drive download. Click on this icon and download it. Click download anyway. It's shared so that any user can access this file and download it from Google Drive. Click on this icon to go to the download folder. Here I have the file downloaded. It is a zip file, so I'm going to now export it by right-clicking and extract all. Once you do that, it will extract the file or files into your downloads folder. Here is the program icon that I want to install. Depending on your version of Windows and what other C++ distributables you have installed, this program will ask you to install them. On this screen, if you see that for user account control, you may see it depending on your user group policies in Windows. Click Yes to allow this program to run. Hit Next, continue hitting Next, and install here. It will ask you, you want to install the software because it was downloaded from the internet. Hit Run. And now it will ask you to install the C++ distributable. Depending on the current state of your Windows installation, it will ask you for different versions of these to be installed. You have to make sure you install it and your Windows environment is one that will allow you to install the C++ redistributable to run the AvaEye Config software in Windows. Once you install it, you should then proceed to see this completing the AvaEye Config setup wizard window and then launch AvaEye Config, hit Finish. It will now launch the software. Click Yes. I've closed out of the other programs out of the view to teach you how to use the software correctly. Now, once the program launches, you'll be able to see AvaEye cameras, and even if you have other cameras from other manufacturers on the network. Of course, this tool will not let you manage anything that is not an AvaEye device by Avalonics. So here is one of the cameras that is one of our devices here. So what I'm going to show you now is how to, first of all, upgrade the firmware on your cameras. So the first thing you want to do is you log in and put in the password for the camera. If you don't know it, you can ask us by emailing our contact support team and ask them what is the correct password to enter for your device, or look on the top of the box, it should say it in there. By default, these cameras are set to DHCP, so they'll get some sort of DHCP IP address on your network. I'm going to enter the default password in the current state of this camera. Depending on the firmware and batch state, that default password is different. I logged in and it says succeeded. Now I'm going to proceed to do a firmware update on the device. I'm going to go to the upgrade menu here, online upgrade, and I'm going to select the camera and I'm going to click upgrade. It'll ask me to confirm. So it's telling me here that this is the current version. If you notice that after the last period, you see 21.1110. That's the firmware date. It's 2021-11-10. The new available firmware is 23.02.21, so that's 2023, February 21st. So now I'm going to make sure it's selected, hit OK. Do you want to upgrade? Yes. It will actually download the firmware on the camera and then update the firmware on the camera. Keep in mind that while this process is occurring, your camera should not be turned off. This is a PoE camera. It is connected to my PoE switch with stable power, and I'm running a hardwired PC computer running over the network on the same subnet as the camera. Please make sure you do not disconnect power to your camera while this upgrade is happening, because it will break the camera and void the warranty. We will not be able to fix it, and it's not covered by warranty. It will take a few seconds or a minute or two for the camera to download the firmware, upgrade it, apply it, and then reboot. Once it reboots, we're going to default the camera in this case. If you've been instructed to default the camera, please make sure you follow this next step that I'm going to show you on how to default the camera. And then after that, I'll show you how to set an IP address on the camera and access its web interface. If you're not looking to update the firmware on your camera, you're just simply looking to change its IP address or something, then you can skip ahead and watch the following sections. Lastly, you can actually apply this process towards multiple cameras that you have from Avalonics that are AvaEye series. If you'd like to update their firmware, you can simply go into the online upgrade, log into each of the cameras, and then update their firmware. In this case, the upgrade has succeeded. I'm going to just wait for the camera to reboot. One easy way for you to monitor if your camera is rebooting or not, you ping it using its IP address. With a -T. So right now it's not giving me a result of a successful ping because it's in the middle of the reboot cycle. So here is the IP address of the camera in question. I'm pinging that IP address here. One important thing to note while you're watching this video is for your cameras in the network, while someone may have multiple different passwords on their cameras, on a small network, which isn't very vulnerable to any security issues, you could just set the same password to all the cameras. Make sure it's a complicated one, and it makes it easier to manage them, especially when you're doing the update for firmwares and such. So here we are with the camera now getting a reply back, or sending a reply back to our computer. So we now know the camera is back on. So we go under device config now and we hit refresh, and we can hover over here to see what the current version is, and it did take the update is 23.0221. So now what we're going to do is default the camera. You can do it individually by typing in the IP address of each camera and going to the web browser, or here's an easier one. I'm going to go under maintenance, and again you can do this for multiple cameras if you had them, and if they're the same password, makes it easy. Select the cameras you want to do this on, click login first, type in the password. Okay, when it's logged in and it says succeeded here, what you simply do is go to restore and then restore factory defaults. Before hitting this, make sure that camera is checked that you want to do this to, apply this action to. Hit restore and then hit yes. So now what it's going to do is completely reset the camera as if it's from the factory. At this point now, the password on the camera, the default one, will become 123456. Make sure you change the password when you log in for the first time. So by doing this firmware update and then the factory default, you're going to make the camera ready to be used on a NVR with integrated PoE that is part of the AvaEye series of products by Avalonics. Here, the camera has rebooted. Now, I'm going to actually log into the camera, show you how to do that. Go into device config, hit refresh, and you'll find your camera here. Click on this icon for remote web, and it'll launch the camera in Edge or whatever is your default browser on Windows, and then log in. The default password is now 123456, and then please do set a password for yourself. I'm going to set the default sometimes that we like to use for the AvaEye series, and then put in your email. Please note that add an email address that you will not lose access to. That is not some part of an employee email address that once that employee leaves, you will not have access to, because it is hard or sometimes impossible to factory default cameras where the password has been forgotten. It's a security issue. Is a reason for behind it. So if you don't have access to this email, you may not be able to reset your camera in certain instances. I'm going to actually apply the email that I want to use. So now, next time when I log in, it's going to have my password applied. And now I'm going to log in. And here's the camera. I can see it. So the web interface does work without any plugins needed on a Windows web browser, and also on Mac in certain instances. Some cameras may not work on Mac, but in Windows it does. And you can also install this plugin to get the full benefits of all the features the camera has to offer. Using that plugin on Windows gives you all the features that's possible, but you don't have to install it if you're just viewing it. That's pretty much it. I've logged into my camera, I've deployed it on my network. Now let me show you how to change the IP address. There are two methods to do that. The long way is you already have it on your network. You have web access to it. You can go under Setup, and then you can go under Network, and then you can actually change it from here. Set a static IP if you'd like to. So here it had a DHCP. If you wanted to set a static, you would go in here, put in the IP address you want to set it to, and whatever else you want to type in for the other network credentials according to your network configuration. The other way is basically by using the device config tool. If you're deploying a lot of cameras, it makes it a lot easier to manage and configure IP addresses from here. So I'm going to first log in. Note it says not logged in. I'm going to log in now using my password on the camera that I just configured. Hit OK. Once it's logged in, you can go under Modify IP and set it at a different IP address if you want. Make sure it's available. So I'm on the 192.168.1 network. So how do I know that? I type in IP config. My computer, it tells me my gateway is 192.168.1.1. It tells me that's my router's IP address. And my subnet is 192.168.1. So any IP address I want to put in has to be 192.168.1. So I'm going to first ping an arbitrary IP address I'd like to set. And I'm going to set it to 253. Let's make sure. If there was a device present on the network, it would be giving me a reply like this. It would say reply from 192.168.1.253. It's not. It's saying destination host unreachable. That means nothing is on that IP address. Perfect. So I'm going to hit break on this, and then I'm going to set it to 253. And my password I've already entered and logged in. Hit OK. It says modification succeeded. Perfect. I'm going to hit refresh again. It'll show now my camera is on a different IP address, which is 1.253. I'm going to go back, hit the cursor key up, and I'm going to ping it again, and now I get a different response. It no longer says destination host unreachable. It says reply from that IP address, and I got a certain number of bytes. That's how you change the IP address on the camera. Hopefully you found this video useful on how to use the AvaEye Config tool with the AvaEye series of security camera products by Avalonics. Thanks for watching.
If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.